let's talk a little bit about the PR impact of the Time 100 Summit for Meghan Markle. Because make no mistake, this was a public platform and therefore had public relations involved. And Meghan Markle made so many mistakes during this opportunity that ended up damaging her public image even more once again, and were just simple little PR mistakes that could have been avoided had she put in any degree of thought ahead of time or consulted an expert, maybe. Or just maybe didn't stay so inward focused all of the time and so self-centered. That would help probably avoid a lot of these mistakes. This whole thing really, if I were to break it down into just one simple phrase, a feedback would be that this was a huge missed opportunity for Meghan. There were so many missed opportunities from this little interview where she had the chance to really give a different type of a message and a good message. And instead, she just talked about herself again and the same stuff we've heard a ton of times. It was nuts. Anytime a celebrity or whomever has any sort of a speech or an interview or a keynote moment like this, a platform of some kind, it's going to come out in the press, it's going to be on YouTube or TV, anything like that. They really need to maximize the opportunity and optimize it to whatever is going on. Sometimes that means optimizing it to reputation damage control, or sometimes it's to maximize the opportunity towards showcasing a new project or highlighting something that you're working on. So for example, a new film coming out, when an actor is on a late night talk show, they need to maximize that opportunity towards encouraging people to go see the film and stimulating curiosity to see the film. And if there's any sort of controversy around the film, then they also need to optimize that opportunity towards either distracting from that controversy or giving a different counter narrative to that controversy, or calming down the concerns that are going on. Whatever it is, changing the narrative in some way. So if I were consulting with Meghan, I would suggest that she maximize the opportunity to deliver some degree of value and substance and optimize it outwardly, not inwardly focused, not focus on herself so much and spend more time focusing outward. So in a previous video, we talked about how she could have used this as an opportunity to talk about better maternity leave or longer paid leave or something like that for moms so that they had, or even just parental leave, so that parents with new babies have more time at home with them, which she previously said that she cared a lot about on Ellen. She was like, I will not stop until we make change here. Well, she stopped. We haven't heard another peep about it. She could have optimized this towards talking about that and through that context, that now that she has had these 3 products launch and she's now CEO of As Ever, because that's the theme that she wants to sell right now, her business lady era. Because of that, she could have said that she has a greater understanding of that importance, and now she's motivated more so than ever before to try to help this cause, right? She could have optimized it towards that rather than herself, and she could have maximized the opportunity by being sure that she was delivering real value, because that's one of the chief criticisms and problems with her products and her content, is that it doesn't seem to deliver any degree of value to anybody because it's boring, bland, and dumb. So for somebody stepping into this role or opportunity, their goals may include exposure and expanding their reach, for example. And so it's important not to ramble and to deliver short but high quality answers that leave room for interest and even curiosity, where the viewers or the reporters may leave motivated to look you up or whatever you were talking about up, whether that's a charity or a project or an initiative or a business. And obviously, generally, you'd like to come off likable at least, right? Maybe even charming or kind. Whatever, you want to leave a good impression. Otherwise, the whole thing is counterproductive. And you end up sort of pushing the audience away by accident, and you minimize exposure through just kind of quashing any curiosity for the audience to follow up out of interest after the fact. And that's exactly what Meghan did. She didn't stimulate any curiosity. Nobody is writing about her appearance and thinking like, wow, I just really want to know more. Nobody. So clearly she missed the mark from a PR perspective. Her first mistake was that she told us what to think of her. When she was discussing her projects, she specifically mentioned some buzzwords like ambitious and creative, just to name a couple. And it tends to sound pretentious and even egotistical or like self-absorbed to sort of say these things about yourself. Unless you're saying it, for example, that like something you did was perhaps a bit too ambitious, or that you get really caught up in the creative side that then the logistics side is harder for you. Like those contexts are fine. But the way Meghan did it was just like, everything I did this year was incredibly ambitious, and being creative is exactly what I am doing. And it feels so great. It's best or better to impart your work ethic or your characteristics, if they are ambitious and creative, than to imply them through your general conversation and your demeanor in other ways, rather than shouting out adjectives that you would like to be identified with the way Meghan did. Let us see with our eyes that you were ambitious, Meghan, by releasing a quality product and good programs. She did not do that, so she doesn't seem that ambitious because the quality is not there. Let us see that you are creative by way of delivering diverse and innovative ideas that are creative. She did not. Everything feels lacking creativity. And this is something we've run into throughout the Netflix series reviews that I've been putting out. I'll link the playlist for you, that she repeatedly is not delivering value. Nothing feels creative. Nothing feels quality. So where is this ambition that she speaks of? Because she's ambitious in spreading herself too thin by picking to release 3 different big projects all at once that she has zero expertise in. And nobody can be good at all those things at one time when they've never done them before, which Meghan hasn't. So she set herself up for failure, but also she repeats everything all the time. We have same tutorials over and over and over on that Netflix show. So there's no creativity. She didn't have enough ideas for it. The second big mistake that stood out to me came when she was asked, how do you stay focused? And she took a really meandering route, like always, to say that she avoids looking online. But then she brought it around to her kids, and she said that she was trying to raise her daughter to be strong and confident, and raising her son to be confident in supporting and uplifting women. I will try to plug in the clip right here, but please excuse me if the clip is not here, then that means that they made me take it out for copyright. But I will try to put in the clip here. Take a listen.
I've made a very, very conscious effort to create boundaries for myself and for my mental health, for my well-being, and certainly to role model that as well for my children. I'm conscious of not just raising a very strong and confident young woman, but also having a son. I think it's just as paramount of importance for young men to be raised with a confidence and sense of self that is going to empower the women around them too. So I try to model that behavior, but again, like it starts with whatever's going on internally.
Now, what exactly is the problem with this? Well, I think what she was trying to say is that she was trying to raise both of her children to be confident when they grow up, and that she wanted her daughter to definitely feel strong and comfortable and confident in, speaking her mind and doing things, like modern women, obviously. And that she was trying to raise her son to be respectful of women and to help support women when needed, because sometimes that's still necessary. I think it's kind of what Meghan is trying to say. It feels a little bit outdated the way that she said it, but also the problem is that the way that she said it was really a minefield. Although I understand what she was trying to say, what her words actually came across as, and what a lot of people are interpreting it as, is that she's teaching Archie that women must take priority over men, that they should be put on a pedestal and are somehow more important. And it's understandable that many people have taken it that way and that it came across that way, because look what she does with Harry. She's always pushing him around and pushing in front of him and telling him what to do and taking precedence over him, even when it's his event. And then when it's her event, she just kind of ignores him and expects him to follow her around. Some of the time, anyway. Not all of the time, but we have a lot of clips of this type of behavior that I think are painting a picture in people's mind that Meghan feels elevated above Harry or thinks that she should be elevated above Harry. And that's not right either. You know, the most progressive idea is that, you know, people should be like treated equally and everybody should be nice to everybody else. And so you would reasonably then see it more in a 50-50 even sort of a way, where half the time Harry is leading the way and shaking hands first, half the time Meghan is, half the time Harry is speaking, half the time Meghan is speaking. And we just don't see that. When they're together, it's usually Meghan going first and Meghan talking more and Meghan shaking hands first. And so it's just not like equal or fair. And so I think a lot of people are getting this image of Meghan that she feels that way. And so then when she says something like this, then it's like, well, are you teaching your son that like women, he needs to bow down to women all the time, or like he can't speak up to women, or that he can't stand up for himself if it's a woman, that he just has to go with whatever his sister says all the time, whatever his mother says all the time, and men just have to take a back seat? Because people are seeing her demonstrate that through her actions, and then she says this way, then people are like, wait, what? I even have a video this week about the spare syndrome that seems to be a one-way street with Harry and Meghan, and how that just doesn't really make sense and it's not very fair in any relationship. But, you know, especially when you're on the public stage and people see you, like, you wouldn't want to outwardly make your spouse look lesser than on the public stage. And then for her to say basically in what some people could interpret as one of her main messages to her son is to support women and put women first, basically, is one of her main messages to her son, is how a lot of people are interpreting this. That's not equality and that's not fair, and you have to be really careful with little kids with those things. But like I said, I get that she probably wasn't trying to say that, but the way she said it came across that way, at least to some people, and that is a big PR mistake. That's really dicey. You have to be very careful how you say things on a public platform when you are a public figure or somebody in the public view. And wording things properly and carefully matters a lot, especially when it's something like this that's, I mean, it's not going anywhere. You can't fix it or edit it. It's not like she had control over it where she could be like, oh, I said that weird by accident. Let me put in an edit and change how I said that to make sure I'm clear about what I mean. So anytime you're doing something public facing, that's why preparation is so important, that you have prepared some answers and some sound bites for yourself that you know you can rely on if you get sort of tripped up, or if there's some specific points you really do want to make. You have to craft them consciously and carefully. The third mistake was her general approach that was just really lacking. It just lacked substance. It lacked an engaging delivery. It wasn't entertaining. And it was very me once again, which is getting boring. It's been boring. Be sure not to miss the other video where we go through her speech a little bit more carefully and highlight other mistakes. But as far as like PR specifically for this video, this particular moment really showed her third PR mistake of just lacking in her approach in general. Jessica said that her show, which this is another reason why it's weird that Jessica did this, because she didn't clarify podcast or Netflix. There was no clear direction here. Everything was disorganized. So I'm not sure if she meant show as in podcast or if she meant show as in Netflix. I do not know. But she said that your show focuses on hope. I'm not sure we're on the same page, Jessica. But I have tea on that too, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. But Meghan essentially rejects this concept that her content's message is hope, and instead she flips this around in the most bizarre of ways. She believes, are you ready? She believes that the fact that she makes time for it all, as in being a mom and launching these 3 projects, is what's hopeful. She literally says the fact that she, Meghan, has been doing all of these things is where someone can find hope. I can't even take that seriously. Who would do or say such a thing? And also, does she not get it that Jessica was really trying to throw a bone? Because Jessica was clearly, like, she had to binge all of this right away because there's a whole thing. You have to go watch the video I put out about it because the way this all unfolded for Jessica was startling. And so she had to binge watch this show to get ready for this event with Meghan. And she's trying to come up with, as like a journalist, what is the essence of this show? What is the messaging? And that's the best she could come up with was hope. I can't say I agree at all, but I think she was just trying to think of like something other than just what everybody gets from that show is just Meghan just wanted to show off some stuff that she's not good at. So the problem with Meghan's response to this of like, yeah, I'm able to do it all, that's where you'll find hope. Well, that also I don't agree with because if you didn't know, Meghan does the bare minimum and she has staff and funding and more help than every entrepreneur known to man. So Meghan is not inspiring hope in any way, shape, or form in the plebs to see you pay out the wazoo to make other people bring your silly, tacky ideas to life. And to do so poorly on top of it, to produce such mid and grody products to awful, boring, drab content actually imparts immense disappointment, not hope in the slightest. So I don't know why Meghan took it there, but that was a huge mistake. And I don't really understand what Jessica was thinking either. The whole thing was weird and confusing, and I was sitting there like, wait a second. What are they talking about exactly? What are either of these women talking about? And the fact that Meghan's answer lacked any degree of relatability or authenticity was such a massive missed opportunity as per usual. She could have set an example by discussing her experience of not always having the time to get something perfect, for example, and therefore it led her to embrace imperfect results or just be able to let things be. Or she could have tried to connect with the audience by being more real about the challenges of doing a project, but that the connections with friends or family or whatever it is that inspired her to persevere is what it all comes down to. Wouldn't hope be what she's wanting to communicate in some ways? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what the heck Jessica really meant by that, so bear with me. But like, if she's always saying that things don't have to be perfect on her show, and it's showing about how you care about other people, then little things that anyone can do is kind of like a hopeful message, I think maybe is what Jessica meant with it. Like, taking that little extra step to make something feel a little bit more special, either for you or for someone you care about, that's what it's about. It's not about getting things perfect. That's maybe like a hopeful message is what she meant, maybe. So the Meg, instead of being like, yeah, well, I think you could be inspired by and find hope in the fact that I've managed to do 3 projects this year and have 2 children. Instead of that, ignoring all of the staff and help that she has and all the opportunity and privilege that she has and how she is not like anybody else in terms of trying to grind to get something done, the grit that entrepreneurs really have, it's kind of insulting to anybody who is an entrepreneur or a business owner or a CEO to have Meghan acting like she gets it because she doesn't. But anyway, the Meg could have instead been like, yes, hopeful, hope. Yes, no matter how busy we are, we can all take that little extra moment to make something a little bit special for you or those around you, shows that you care, to elevate, something like that. That could have been tied to hope. I don't know. Make it make sense. I can't really make it make sense, but that's the best I can do. That is an example of this PR mistake of just lacking in the delivery and the substance. Just not good enough. Her PR goals, Meghan's, were clearly to impart an image of an ambitious, successful entrepreneur in successful projects, which we know they're not, to be seen as a creative visionary whose love language is caring for others, that's what really energizes her, she says, and she does this. And there were lots of references to doing both mom and business and being able to make that work. So that was kind of her, if we were to encapsulate what she wanted to have her messaging be from this experience. But instead, what really came through was very little in general, because a lot of it was just repetitive stuff we've heard before, or just nonsense that doesn't matter, or rambling word salad that didn't make sense. She didn't actually say much of anything that she hasn't said 1,000 times before, and there were even contradictions. Like, she says it was someone at Netflix's idea to do this type of show, but it's also that she's come up with this and is super creative. So, which is it? She contradicted herself at least 3 separate times within that 16 minutes. She also says that she's happier than ever. I mean, like, I don't know if that's supposed to be a takeaway. But what stood out to me most from a PR perspective in terms of like the ultimate like goals here was that she lacked a long-term vision, because when she was asked 2 different times about future plans or future guests, she delivered non-answers. So it also tells us from a business perspective that she does not have a plan. She does not have that long-term game sorted out and organized, at least not yet. So she actually imparted the image and the message that she is someone who is disorganized, out of touch, and very amateur. Oh, and we can't forget self-absorbed. Thank you for joining me for today's video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the like button only if you want to. And I will see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.